Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. So absolutely delighted today to be joined by my great friend Scott Cowx. Nice to see you, pal.
Nice to see you. Thanks for having me today.
Not at all.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
This is going to be a lot of fun. We've got a couple of videos planned together today, the first of which we're going to take a look at your driver.
Thank you.
It's impossible to go through social media right now and not see the amount of people who are experimenting on the driver front. I'm doing it. We've talked about it with you. Bryson's doing what he's doing. Everyone's curious what else is in the tank, what more are we leaving on the table by staying in the safe space that we seem to be playing within in golf right now. The same length shafts that we've always used, same weights and all those sorts of things. You and I are going to try and get out our comfort zone with this and try and see what levels we can push this to.
Yeah, 100%. And like we said, we've got a little challenge with Drew Cooper on.
Yeah, Drew Cooper.
The Drew Cooper, and that'll be a tough
else.
one. I've got to get in the gym for about the next 6 months, I think. But you know, we like to see if it's possible. You know, mid 170s, even 180 ball speed would be lovely to be able to do it. And then if I could game, you know, hopefully around 170 when I play, I think that would be a huge difference to my game.
Be huge.
Which would be nice, you know, and obviously I'm okay with doing anything, you know, long driver, you know, lighter swing weight, whatever we need to do to make it happen and see how we'll have some fun today.
Let's get creative with it and think outside the box. And you guys, Drew Cooper, if you many of you won't have heard his name, but Drew is one of the most impressive amateur golfers that we would probably have came across in a number of years.
Yes.
He came up here, I believe it was about 2 years ago, and came up and he was looking, you know, he found the YouTube channel, came up to try and find some equipment that would work for him, and he walks through the door and we start with his iron fitting, and he's swinging his 6 iron at about 107 miles an hour, and I just think to myself, I'm not sure if we've got anything for this guy. You know, thankfully his needs and his preferences were a little bit more common than the kind of speed that he had. But just an incredible golfer. It was so funny when Golf WRX, Johnny Wonder, posted about his swing, and I would read through the feed and everyone would be like, this guy's not 195 mile an hour ball speed, he's not 200 mile an hour ball speed, because it doesn't look like it, because it's such an efficient motion.
Yeah,
you know, he's a thoroughbred. I mean, he truly is.
He is, absolutely. And Drew actually went through my coach certification as well.
Oh, did he go through that?
So
awesome.
That's kind of how we got in touch with each other. And so when this came up and he had mentioned that, he actually texted me and said, you know, long drive or pro golf. I said, well, you might as well do the long drive while you're fit and you're young. And you know, if that translates into pro golf later on, you know, we can learn those other pieces. But you know, 210 ball speed, as you said, is unbelievable.
Elite, isn't it? I mean, that's truly elite. I mean, we're talking about our journeys to get to 170 and beyond. That in the professional game is very respectable. Yeah. You know, look at, you know, your student Mackenzie Hughes. I mean, Mac is a 168 to 172 guy, isn't he? Very respectable.
Yeah, generally he can get it close to 180 if he goes all out.
Yeah.
But basically his gamer speed's somewhere around 170, 72.
Perfect.
You know, he's very efficient and you know, he does well at that speed. But you know, it's just interesting to have that kind of horsepower.
Yeah.
And when you start looking at, this is where it gets interesting for me as a coach and a teacher, is you know, we start talking about, well, how do we get this thing to go faster?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about how much net force we're applying to the golf club.
Yeah.
And you know, equivalent to about what I'm at, let's say around 110 to 112 miles an hour, be about 350 newtons of force that I'm putting into the club. Well, for a guy like Drew, okay, he's literally putting in basically double that.
Yeah.
So he's putting closer to 650 to 700 newtons of force into that shaft in less than a quarter of a second, you know, from here to here. So the ability to do that is very much like trying to lift 300 pounds off the ground over your head. You know, it's just the amount of force production in such a short period of time is just unbelievable. And, you know, as you said, he makes it look so
easy,
rhythmic and easy.
We saw Bryson this week on the range at Augusta swinging out his boots and you know, literally coming off the ground, and, you know, to get to 200 miles an hour-ish ball speed. Drew does that while looking like he's swinging at 80%. I mean, it's a remarkable golf swing. Yeah,
we chatted the other night, and I think he said his regular driver, he's got up to about 140 club. and the long driver he's been toying with is about 144.
Right. Okay.
Or so. So he's right in that neighborhood to get close with some good strikes to probably 215, 220-ish even.
It's fast.
Which is unbelievable.
That's fast.
Yeah.
So the goal at the end of the day, and he and I were texting back and forth last night. So your goal is 180, which is really quick. His goal is 225, which is world leading. I mean, Sadlowski, I think, had the record. I think Berkshire beat it, or I think actually there's a German long driver beat it recently. Yeah. Maybe 122 or 228 or something now.
I believe it's just under 230 right now.
Yeah. So unbelievable speed, and Drew's trying to get it right there, 225, which means if you catch the right strike, the right bounce, you're going to be in the top echelons of the long drive games. So
absolutely.
That's a heck of a
the Joe Millers
target.
And the Kyle Berkshires and so on. It's unbelievable.
Amazing.
But at the end of the day, it's all about efficiency first, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, think as you know, the golfers that are watching the feed here, I mean, that's the most important part of getting longer is hit it in the center of the face, be more efficient with whatever speed you have.
Yep.
Then, hopefully get faster by, a combination of a little bit of ground mechanics as well as maybe some gym work and so on. And
exactly.
The way I've chosen to do it, Drew's obviously very, very fit guy. Works out like a very strong guy, for sure. So he's already started here. I'm looking at it saying, okay, what can I do from a swing perspective first?
Yeah.
Try and get it to a point where I level off, which right now seems to be sort of mid to high 160s is kind of where I'm stuck. And then at some point, I think I'm going to have to go to the gym a little bit and get stronger and a little bit more flexible and so on. But, it's one of those things where I think, obviously, Bryson's sort of pushing the envelope for everybody in a way, and it's kind of fun to even challenge this. This isn't something that I would have done even 2 or 3 years ago. Now it's kind of like, well, why not? Why not try and get as fast as you can, and you can always scale it back, if it's not gameable. And
that's the way I've found it translate for me. Is I used to be a 150 ball speed guy maybe 5 years ago, and thinking that you could ever sniff 180 ball speed would have been well out my kind of range.
Right.
But if you apply the right amount of technique and you look at your equipment and you tick off all those boxes and you make those incremental gains, those percentage points do add up to a significant net gain.
Absolutely. And I think there's definitely probably 4 to 6 miles an hour found probably in the equipment. Just getting a good fit with the right shaft, the right obviously launch and so on window to sort of maximize it. And we've that's why we're here, and I'm excited to kind of go through that and get some see if we can buy a few yards here.
Absolutely. Well, let's baseline yours. I'd love to start with yours. Titleist TSI 2. You were fit at the National Fitting Centre. You've hit a few warming up, and I feel like you're just painting straight lines on the screen. This is a very, very gameable driver for you.
For sure, I was very impressed with the 2. Actually, I tested the 3 and the 2. I didn't see much difference in the spin rate at the time with the shaft in it, so I went with the slightly more forgiving head for the miss hit. But I've been quite impressed with the playability. I got to play with it a few rounds in the fall. Obviously, we didn't have a lot of time in the fall, but a few times in the fall, and I was quite impressed on the golf course. Again, looking at comparatively to some of the other drivers that I've used in the past, probably the same ball speeds I'm accustomed to. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily faster, but I did see the spin rate come down a little bit and the launch go up a little bit.
Okay, so that's nice. A little incremental gain in the carrying and the land angle flattened out with the spin coming down a touch, which is good. Get a few yards on the ground. Okay, well let's see a few. Nice. Very nice. So I can see there exactly what you're talking about. 13 launch, just under 2100. Efficiency, you're maxing that out. We always say to people, times the club head speed by 2.7 to give you an idea as to how efficient you are. You're maxing that out in terms of what someone is likely to get out of 112 miles an hour club head speed. Really,
and I do find with the this head, that was one of the things I really liked about it, was both heads, the 3 and the 2.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I don't know if it's just the way it lines up and sets, but I do hit it really quite centered most of the time.
Yep.
You know, if I turn it over a little bit like that, you know, obviously I think I go up a little bit in speed. Maybe a little bit more efficient with the delivery there.
Yeah. And both of those things, your spin loft is in a lovely spot. You're 5 up, 15 degrees of delivered loft. That's you're hitting it. You're pretty close to the CG vertical CG line. So we're in a pretty good spot with that. You're not using the bulge and roll, you know, to your advantage or disadvantage there. It's just it's a pretty true reading, which is really good. Okay, let's hit one more and then we'll jump into some others.
Let me go a little bit more ape at one here.
Really nice. Love that.
I don't think I've got more than in this club anyway. Right now, that seemed to be right in the middle. Have I made your job difficult today?
Well, you've given us a really good baseline to work off of. I mean, if somebody walks in here 161, 12.6 and 2200, we know we've got our work cut out with us, especially when the efficiency is where that is. All those things, when we're looking for the opportunities and where the red flags are, I can't tell you that there's many on that page. The only thing I do know is that we can build you something that moves faster.
Right.
That's where the opportunity lies in this.
Right.
You know, we can take a little look at kind of strike location and see if we can manage CG relative to strike location and stabilize the ball flight relative to the gear effect. All those sorts of things are on the table as gains. But you're at such a good spot with your own driver. You know, any upside is going to be fantastic.
Right.
All right, Scott, first one we're going to try you. Similar head. I loved what we were seeing with that head there.
Yeah.
We're going to plug in a Tensei 1K50 TX, extract a little weight out the shaft so we can lengthen the club slightly. I mean, any gains that we get, unless they're significant, are going to be, they're going to be, you know, almost useless because of how good you were. So we have to keep the stability in your flight, just make it go more.
Right.
So we have to keep a lot of what was working really well. So the white Tour Wrap 2G grip, 15 grams heavier than the grip that you were playing.
Okay.
So trying to pull a little of that swing weight
up. It feels
and
a
out.
little lighter.
Good. This is D6.
Okay.
Pretty much at where yours was.
Okay.
But we've obviously got something that's significantly longer.
But it feels right, yeah, exactly.
It should still feel in good balance.
It doesn't feel unwieldy, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it's a sledgehammer.
Okay, so let's see what we can kind of get out this.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, lovely opener. Just sounded like it came a little low out the head, but
yeah, maybe a little heely, just a touch.
Okay.
I could get used to this one.
Yeah. Well, anytime we've got a little excess dynamic loft going on, I mean, that's an easy fix in itself, and you know, we can bring that down really quickly. Yeah, caught that a little higher up the head. That was good. That's the only real difference I'm seeing right now in terms of the delivery. Your angle of attack is still very, very similar, 5, but the delivered loft has went up a little bit.
Right. So that efficiency's come down a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit too much loft.
Finding more loft, and so we're just sitting a little low in the head. So
we can lower that down a little bit.
we can wrestle that back very quickly.
Now I'll tell you what. I mean, more than anything else, I feel like I haven't felt like I've swung at one yet.
Good. And so you're 114 without really feeling like you've applied pressure to it.
Yeah, like I feel like that was a fairly stock.
Love it.
Sort of swing.
Okay, so work up the gears now as you go.
Let's see if I can pump a little more into this.
Okay. Let's make
that felt like a really good swing that maybe just had too much loft.
Okay.
So we take this down, is that what we did?
Yeah, so a little less loft, little change to the golf ball. See if we get a little speed out of this one.
Well, definitely less spin. I can feel that. I felt like, is the CG higher now?
So exactly the same So this is going to sit with the Club Connects. Is going to sit. All single axis loft sleeves move upright as they move off neutral. Okay. So this one will move slightly up, which you like. So
yeah, that felt noticeably. I didn't feel it kicking as much, even though it's still pretty high. I didn't feel it kicking as much.
Okay. If
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why it felt like there was less spin on it.
Yeah, 22 is nice. I mean, 13, 22, we're in a really nice window with that.
All right,
again, as soon as we move that strike about 7 or 8 millimeters higher, we're going to see some real good ones.
I'm going to try and draw these a little bit, see if I can get a little bit more out of it.
Okay, so let's play around with club head a little bit now.
I could play this though.
That feels gameable?
Yeah, very good. Sorry. Very good.